Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us in our webinar today. We are going to have a special vendor with us today that is going to be answering some questions and having a discussion around some things that have been out in the marketplace and questions that you guys have had. One of the things with this series, with one of our mini series that we're looking to do in the future, is topics of today's discussion is engineering sterility. With us today, we have ALK, one of our vial vendors that are here. We have Amanda and Heath here to talk about some of the things and questions that have been out there. So one thing I want to say, I know you guys have came down now. Again, Amanda, I believe you're a Texan, right? Like you've been here, but how have you adjusted to this Houston heat so far?
It's the humidity that's getting me.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right. It's one of those things here down in Space City. Heath, now where are you from again?
I'm based in North Carolina.
Okay, so it's a little bit different, right?
Yeah,
So
just a
it's
little bit.
it's an
Too
adjustment for
much.
here. So guys, one of the things I also want to mention to you today is we have this discussion that we're going to have some live poll questions for you. If you look down at below, if you hit poll, that's where you're going to be able to see and submit that information. So please make sure. And in doing so, as we start our discussion today, we do want to ask a live poll question for you today. So for many of you that are here as we have this discussion, do you use open or closed vials? It's one of the things that we want to kind of get an understanding of the audience. What are you currently using in your facilities, whether it be open or closed or sealed, whatever it may be. We want to kind of know about that. But as that poll question is kind of going out, I guess, learning a little bit more about you guys, kind of tell us, a little bit about what your role, what your day-to-day is, and kind of within ALK and so forth.
Yeah, so first off, so ALK is a company, an allergy pharmaceutical company based in Denmark. We specialize in allergenic extracts, diluents, sublingual immunotherapy products. In support of those allergenic extracts, we also manufacture sterile empty vials. We are unique, very unique to the market in the fact that we are a pharmaceutical company making sterile empty vials to pharmaceutical grade standards. Amanda is a business development manager based out of Round Rock, Texas, and I manage the team based out of North Carolina, as Tim mentioned before.
Perfect. Now, Amanda, kind of for yourself, like what's kind of your day-to-day of what you see kind of talking with pharmacies and so forth and being in business development?
Oh, I see it all. Yeah, we try to just be the technical specialists with the vials. I see a lot of things from open and closed, and we just try to gain business that way. I work with you, distribution, to try to help you guys out as well.
All right, perfect. So one of the things that we can see kind of from a poll standing right now is that majority of our users that are here are going to be using more open vials. So that's one of the big conversations that we're going to talk about the difference of that that we have out there. And so, as you guys mentioned with ALK and kind of different things that you do, particularly for the vials, where are they manufactured at?
So our vials, all our vials are manufactured in Oklahoma City.
Okay. So in Oklahoma, I guess that's more, that place was big geographically. It's a little bit more easy to kind of navigate to get in and out, or
Yeah, definitely some advantages being centrally located. It's a facility that ALK purchased back in 2017.
Okay.
It was formerly Allergy Labs of Oklahoma City, and so we purchased that facility, and now it's under the ALK umbrella, along with many other locations throughout the U.S.
All right, perfect. Now, with that particular city location and facility that you have, is it a C GMP facility that you have out there?
Yes, we are.
Okay, perfect. Now, with having that facility, and this is kind of a question that's going to come up a lot, right, as we have discussion today, and I know in the Q&A that we have later, are you guys inspected by the FDA?
Yep. We're also inspected by the FDA as well.
Right. So you're inspected by the FDA, and I do want to ask another question that goes out to our guests that are joining the audience, particularly is your facility inspected and who is inspecting it by? Like, so if it's state, it's fed, who is inspecting your facility? And as we kind of go through that, you mentioned you're inspected by the FDA, but are there any other agencies out there that you are required to have inspections on your facility?
Yes, most definitely. Much like many of your customers and end users, we also are inspected by the State Department of Oklahoma and also Health Canada as well.
All right. Now, with having that, with various agencies and doing the inspection, is there one have more requirements and stringencies than the other, or are they roughly about the same?
I mean, I think they all run relatively parallel. There are some unique standards that you have to, meet with each organization, but most of them run along sort of USP guidelines, if you will. Yeah.
Right. So And another thing that when you think about for us with the inspection, right, of going through that, is it as nerve-wracking when they come in, or is it more of a control and understand process that you have that's there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's we put a lot of pride in our manufacturing processes. Something we've been doing for quite a long time. You know, but it's one of those things again. We understand the pain points more than anyone around having to manufacture a sterile empty vial, say prior to whatever those processes may be for you.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Now, for our audience that's out there, it looks like from that poll question that we just went out and asked, it looks like majority are inspected by the state. So that's one of the things that there's a high level of agency that's there that you guys are doing by FDA. So that definitely is going to tie more to what we're talking about for us on compliance and different things that ties into there. But for Amanda, tell us a little bit more. So we have you guys vials that are here. Tell us a little bit more about your vials. What's different about yours versus what's in some that may be out there now?
Well, like he said, we are tested to pharma regulations. We have them in clear and amber from 2 mil to 100 mil. They go through an extensive washing process, and then from there, they are dry heat sterilized. So there's no water left in the vial and no residue. Then from there, they go through our QC and our QA. They're tested for sterility, and then we hold them, make sure they're, they pass everything, and then once we get the go ahead, we can sell them. Another thing is we've never had a recall on our vials, so we're very proud of that as well.
It's huge. Yeah, it's huge. Now, as a current vendor of ours, have you ever seen water your vials, or like you mentioned, you haven't had any recalls or failed batches that you know of? But I guess just kind of touch on a little bit more of the differences in your sterilization that you use for your vials that kind of go into there versus what some others may be.
Yeah, so there's 3 major types of sterilization. One is steam sterilization. With that, they have to use water in order to have the steam sterilize the vial. Once they stopper it, there is going to be water and condensation left over in the vial. So with that, all the compounders need to take into consideration that water to make sure their active ingredient percentage is correct, which can be very difficult. The other one is VHP, or vaporized hydrogen peroxide. That can leave hydrogen peroxide residue left over in the vials, which can actually cause leachables and extractables, and then also can actually change the glass chemistry of the vial. It can oxidize APIs, and peptides are especially sensitive to oxygen, so everybody's compounding those nowadays, so you just want to be careful. Yeah, and then ours are dry heat sterilized, which is the gold standard for sterilization. There isn't going to be anything left in the vial to be concerned with.
Awesome. Well, I know we have another poll question that we want to pose out to everyone that's out there. So how are your vials being sterilized? That's a very good question to ask because there, of course, as you mentioned, there are various ways that are out there and various techniques. But again, we want to kind of get a better understanding of kind of what everybody's currently doing out there and going from that. But, as we have that poll question that's kind of going out and more so talking about that, I guess between the different ways of sterilizing vials, what are kind of the better ways and the not better ways that you would think of that you can think of that were not necessarily the best way to do that?
For sterilization?
Yes.
Well, like I said, dry heat's the best way to go with glass. I mean, if the board comes in and asks you, how are they sterilized and whatever, are you going to know how they are sterilized if they do ask you those questions? And with ours, again, with dry heat, you're delivering medication safely, whereas with VHP, it might not be so safe. It might not, your testing might not show up right away that there is something in it, which can be too late when it gets to a patient. So.
Yeah, I think that's important, right? I mean, that's one of the things too, is to where it's a lot of ways that you have people out there that are processing that. Of course, there are some other ways that people are cutting corners, right, when we talk about costs associated with that. But from the audience that we have that are here, looks like it's kind of like a 50-50. Some people are using steam, some people are using dry heat being the gold standard that's there. And, one of the things I do want to talk about as we kind of roll through in our discussion a lot more is another poll question I want to pull out there as well is, are you compounding hazardous drugs? That's another thing that we talked about as well as we kind of dive through in that. But as we kind of go through that live question that's polling out there a little bit more, that's happening. Amanda, I guess from your experience, what are you kind of, from laboratories to pharmacies, are you seeing a difference of where these vials are best suited, or are they suited for all things that are out there?
Our vials?
Yes.
So I mean, they're suitable for everybody that's compounding. Anybody that's compounding, can use our vials.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Now, but sure, I know you have some customers as
I
well
do. I do.
that have had a lot of questions and kind of just tying into that. So as we have that kind of poll question that's out there as well as coming up, I want to kind of segue into you some of the
Yeah.
questions that kind of been asked to your customers.
So, I mean, several of my customers are big volume compounders, and what I found out there in the field is that they're primarily using open vials. Can you kind of explain the difference between what you guys do versus the traditional open vial path?
Yeah. So I mean, an open vial is just that. It's a vial. It's open. It could be sterile or not sterile. The stoppers and the seals have to come separate. So they're pulling those vials into the hood with exposed air. Ours are sealed, so there isn't any exposed air. There isn't any concern there. It's airtight, so the chemicals and there is no bacteria in there where there could be with an open vial.
Heard.
Yeah.
Very cool. Is there a cost advantage to going with sealed and closed vials?
Yeah, I can take that. I think it's really hard to put a price on peace of mind, which I think is probably the number one value add that we bring. The fact that we can eliminate some of the biggest risk factors during the compounding process as well, and so we reduce a lot of waste and risk exposure from a contamination event perspective. I mean, what happens if you have a knocked over vial? Think about the impact of that. Lower labor costs. There's less, say, time and steps in compounding through and I think you mentioned one of the biggest variables out there is the crimping factor, if you will, and again, I think we're also assuming that you're buying a pre-sterilized vial. There's also the sterilization process on the front end and the cost associated with that as well that you could factor into it.
Of course, a lot of sort of accessory savings there, it sounds like.
Definitely.
It also sounds like the workflow might be a little bit easier with the closed and sealed vials as opposed to the open ones. So any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I would say you're correct. It is an easier workflow with a sealed vial. All you have to do is take them out, you wipe them, you fill through the septum, and you're good to go. It eliminates a lot of things. There is an environmental exposure. It eliminates some of the variables with CCIT, and you're limited to the bore needle with the air exposure, so there's low bioburden. With open vials, again, it's an open mouth, so you have airflow over it. There's a lot of risks involved with that. You have to stopper it and then crimp it, like you said. So there's a lot of risks involved. There's direct air exposure. There's surface exposure. Touch contamination can happen as well. And like Heath was saying, crimping all those vials is very time consuming.
Yeah.
And it's you're going to get tired after a while doing it. So that's, one thing you don't have to worry about.
It's almost like a foolproof solution here, it looks like. You mentioned just now filling through a septum. I would imagine a concern of some of these end users would be the coring getting into the vial itself, or like some particulate. What approaches do you think can be taken to sort of eliminate that, to mitigate that risk?
Well, we test USP 381, so as long as you follow that, you should be good. But there's a lot of pharmacies out there that do different techniques and have their validation process is different from that. So, yeah.
Can you go over just general risk management then in that case?
Yeah, I'd be glad to.
As a whole?
Yeah, definitely. So, I think, again, one of the inherent advantages is the risk minimization there. And so, the first and foremost, the fact that we guarantee the sterility of the product, right? You rely on our certification, our testing, and our validation methodology. I think the next is, with open vials, you're putting a lot of variables in place, right? You're putting some extra steps in place, the human factor, if you will. And I think the number one concern, right, is patient safety, right? If you're really looking at risk, the impact of, say, you say one bad vial, one contaminated vial can really, impact the market as a whole, if you will. And so I think with these assurances and these validations we bring to the table, it allows you to focus more on the product that's inside.
I love it. I mean, you mentioned having your own certifications, having your own validations. So I imagine those are huge regulatory advantages. Any others?
Yeah, I mean, I think just again the reduced documentation burden, right? Anytime you're relying on an inspection being passed. I mean, I think that if you can eliminate some of that burden, some of the steps along the way, that's a plus, I think. And then there's a clear chain of custody with our vials. I think it's something that, again, you want to go into this with as many controls in place as possible.
I mean, and no recalls. It's one of the first things you mentioned, so you guys are doing it the right way. Can you talk about the product inside the vial and how that might be affected?
Yeah, so
Open versus closed, I would suppose.
yeah, with ours, there is product integrity. It's maintained in there because, like we said, where it's sterile, we know it's sterile. There's maintained chemical stability, which doesn't always happen with an open vial because of the air inside. And then it's protected from oxidation and moisture as well with ours. So
Huge.
yeah.
We've all spent substantial amount of time in the field with these compounders. So I guess a really good question for you guys is, what do you think these compounders and these pharmacies are worried about most at the end of the day?
I think, I mentioned it before. I think first and foremost, always patient safety, right? I mean, I think it's one of those things, we're all in this together type situations. I think other than that, looking aside from that, it is the regulatory burden. It's meeting the requirements of USP 797. It's somewhat vague at times, the guidance that comes from USP and obviously the requirements around utilizing validated manufacturers works in our favor when it comes to that. But I think more it is the burden around the inspection, making sure that you're meeting the requirements and bringing a quality product to market.
It's huge. It's huge. I think Tim already sent the question out asking if which of the people on this call right now are compounding hazardous drugs, and it looks like overwhelmingly they said no. Interesting. I know controlled substances like testosterone are getting huge now. I guess, can we kind of talk about some of the advantages to using the ALK closed vials for hazardous drugs or for things of that nature?
Yeah, so he touched on 797. That's protecting what's inside the vial.
Right.
And for 800, it's protecting your workers and people compounding. So it is preferred to use a sealed vial. There's no aerosol escape, there's no droplets, no spills being had, which can really harm the technician doing the compounding. With open vials, again, I mean, you can have aerosol escape, you can have things tip over, the surface contamination. If something happens, you have to disinfect everything. So it is a preferred method to use a sealed container.
I would imagine the type of vial that is overwhelmingly preferred would be closed, correct?
Well, we don't make any claims on what is and isn't, the preferred. What we can say is that our sterile empty vials reduce patient risk. They reduce spills, contamination, worker fatigue, and it reduces your worry knowing that there is no risk ultimately with a vial. So, I mean,
RTU. I mean, right, they're legitimately ready to go and they're ready to use. So
yeah,
huge advantage.
Well, I know you asked some great questions and kind of go from there. And I know we've kind of polled a lot of live poll questions, but we do want to have an opportunity for you to get some live questions. We do want to get a better understanding of kind of audience. So live questions are going to be coming. Our Q&A is about to begin here, so I know that's getting queuing up. But as that's happening for you guys, I want to take the time out while you're here because there are a lot of vials that are on the marketplace. And then, of course, there are a lot of vials that are sealed by other competitors and different things. I guess primarily, as you touched on kind of the technical points of your product, what's making yours the top tier versus the other ones that may be out there on the marketplace?
Yeah, I think more than anything, as I touched on right off the bat, was the fact that we are a pharmaceutical company producing pharmaceutical grade products, right? We are beholden to the same standards as your end users and your customers are going to be when it becomes to inspection time. We offer more than anything peace of mind, right? I mentioned it earlier as well, as far as allowing the end users to focus on, more on patient safety and the efficacy of the drugs and the aseptic filling techniques versus the material that they're utilizing to fill into. So I think more than anything it's that peace of mind, that risk mitigation that we bring to the table because we produce a guaranteed quality product.
Gotcha. Now, of course, in any time when you're producing products in general, have you had any changes that you've made recently or in the past to the product to get it to that end customer that maybe was requested? Or
yeah, no, I mean, I think we constantly are looking for ways to make the product better. We have multiple suppliers for all of the different raw materials, which gives us a great advantage over a lot of our competition. It gives us some flexibility when times or when challenges come up. We had one that I think we could point to more recently. It was around our packaging. We made a change from a manufacturing perspective around the packaging. It was made, I think, more with allergy customers in mind and less with, say, sterile compounders or compounders in general. But we heard loud and clear from our customers, and so we made the change to go back to the packaging mix that's more conducive to sterile processing. So again, it's something we're constantly looking at ways we can do things better while maintaining the integrity of the product.
And of course, they come in amber and clear. I think we have a live question that came in so far. Is again, just to touch on it, what various sizes do you offer in these sizes here?
So we have 2, 5, 10. We have a 20 just in clear, 30, 50, and 100 milliliters.
Now, would it be possible if somebody needed 20 in amber? Is that possible on custom? Or
it's really not requested ever.
No. Okay.
So it's probably not something. If they want to, they could use 2 10s or a 30, depending on what
Depending
they're.
on what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do we have any more questions that are coming in? I think that was one that I think people want to touch on again. So we do thank you guys for being on today, coming here with us. I know traveling in over these last couple of weeks has been crazy with traveling, particularly if you had to hop on a plane. But driving, I know also too can be strange. So coming away from your families to come spend some time with us and really having a conversation with our customers and potential customers that are out there. So thank you again so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we appreciate it. I want to say, I mean, our partners are valuable to us, right? We specialize in one product per se, right? And it's what makes us good at manufacturing those products. You specialize in sort of offering the full full product offering and the full complementary package there. But let us get involved. Let us be a resource for you guys, for your customers, and we can not only work on, say, the vials, but also some of the workflow opportunities and options and changes and say things that are out there for your group.
Perfect. Well, that concludes our webinar.
I think
we have another
one
question.
more question coming in.
Yep, we have one more. Okay. Make sure we get it in and get it asked. While it's there. So I know they're queuing up this last question. I'm kind of going from there. I guess one of the questions that I can think of right now as they're doing that is, and not necessarily a question, more of a statement. I do appreciate you guys being able to also to provide a real hardcore sample for people to be able to see in the different sizes, not just sending the individual ones, because I know that's a challenge with doing that. And then being able to also to always be interactive with potential customers that are there, so that conversation is always there, that's just tied into us. Are there anything that you can think of right now, as a segue into a question, that's coming down the pipeline that's kind of like hasn't broke news, but you can break news yet of a new product or new thing that's coming out?
Oh gosh, new products. I mean, again, we're actively looking, again, at products that may support workflow and maybe supportive of our products. I think more than anything, it's just us trying to get more into some of the customer base, making more appearances. We will be attending some national trade shows coming up that are more nuclear medicine based. Again, when you're talking about some of the more precious products that are being put into these vials and things. But I think that's more than anything is just us breaking into different market segments.
Gotcha.
It's a cool question. Comment on time saved by not having to stop or crimp and then validate and inspect the crimps on every single vial. Could that labor savings offset the cost of the sealed vial, I would say without question.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's every workflow, every validated method is going to be unique from our perspective of what we've seen in many cases. We offer flexibility, and I think that's the biggest thing we can offer. We're not going to come out and say there's one methodology better than the other.
Right.
But when you look at savings as a time, when you're talking about repetitive motion injuries, you're talking about different things associated with that filling process. Yeah, we feel that we offer inherent advantages from a time, from a cost, and all of those associated with those savings. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, as we go through this month of it being the vials, we do want to mention to everyone we do have a 5% off any order ALK vials. So it is ALK-Web26. It'll also be on our website as well. So you're more than welcome to utilize this. We do recommend you utilize this for everyone that's out there. So again, this is the month of vials. So again, this promo code is active now. If you want to place orders effective today. So again, thank you everybody for being here and coming down. We look forward to talking to you guys again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.